It's known as the Road of Life, the only route that connects 120,000 ethnic Armenians living in Azerbaijan's Nagorno-Karabakh region with the Republic of Armenia. But for nearly 9 months, the Lachin corridor has been blocked by Azerbaijani troops, resulting in severe shortages of everything: food, medicine, fuel, you name it. It's cut off, and it's forgotten, at least by the outside world. No independent media has been able to reach the Nagorno-Karabakh enclave, but the photos and videos are of empty shops, and they are circulating on social media with reports that people are fainting in bread queues. The local authorities say 1 in 3 deaths is now down to malnutrition. It is ethnic cleansing by starvation. So why is nothing being done? With us tonight to discuss from LA, Serge Tankian. He is the lead singer of the Armenian-American heavy metal band System of a Down, and Artak Beglarian. He is an advisor to the State Minister for the Karabakh Republic. Thank you both for being with us this evening. Serge, Nagorno-Karabakh doesn't appear on any maps, and it doesn't seem at this moment in time to be featuring in the public consciousness outside Armenia. Why?
A lot has to do with the amount of caviar diplomacy that Azerbaijan has exercised throughout Europe, throughout the UK, throughout Germany and France, and a lot of members of parliament have been caught with Azeri money in their pockets. They've bought a lot of influence. Part of it has to do with Azeri oil going through Europe. A lot of Russian oil has been repackaged to go through the Azeri pipelines to Europe. So a lot has to do with geopolitics, unfortunately. There's 120,000 people, 30,000 of which are children, that are literally on the brink of starvation. And for 9 months, this blockade has been going on. The whole world has been basically telling Azerbaijan they have to open this corridor. There are 2 United Nations International Court of Justice decrees telling Azerbaijan to open the Lachin corridor, European Court of Human Rights, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch. Every country in the world has condemned them, and they're not budging. So the question is, are we going to act, or are we going to allow another genocide of Armenians, this time in this century, in the 21st century, to occur?
Can you explain?
The only way to deal...
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to ask, though, because people might not have an idea of the geography of this area. Can you explain to us why this corridor into Nagorno-Karabakh is the only way in and the only way out?
There was a war in 2020 when Azerbaijan, along with Turkey, attacked the region known as Nagorno-Karabakh, and they took a lot of territories. There was a ceasefire in November of 2021, thereafter with Armenia. And it, according to the tripartite ceasefire between Russia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan had to leave this corridor open as a humanitarian corridor linking Armenia to Nagorno-Karabakh for food supplies, humanitarian supplies, etc. And of course, 9 months ago, that Lachin corridor was blocked and closed by Azerbaijan.
Let me bring in our other guest who's with us, Artak Beglarian. You've obviously been deeply involved in this for some time. In years gone past, Moscow would have been the peace broker here and would have brought the 2 sides together. But of course, they're focusing on the Ukraine war. But why is it so difficult for Moscow to get involved and to mediate here?
Thank you. Actually, as Serge explained, it's mostly geopolitics. And since there is a high tension, even I would say conflict between Russia and the West, we are collateral victims of this conflict. And also the attention of the international community is mostly focused on the Ukrainian conflict. But because Azerbaijan and Turkey have influential ties and interests both with Russia and also with the West, that's why the West and Russia are not quite practical in preventing and suspending the genocide here. Unfortunately, we are the victims of that situation. And please note that in the world, Nagorno-Karabakh is the only place to be besieged and actually under total isolation of the international community. No international organization, no humanitarian organization, even UN can't enter here because Azerbaijan blocks not only our people, not only any cargo, any humanitarian essentials, food, medication, etc. to enter, but also international monitoring groups. Even UN experts, UN Human Rights High Commissioner is not allowed to access here.
No.
And
how many people how many people do we think are still there?
We have over 120,000 people.
With no food, no way to get food into 120,000 people.
Sorry?
So the ICRC has not been able to get any access, because I know they staged food at the checkpoint, but that's not been taken in?
Actually, since June 15, ICRC and Russian peacekeepers are not allowed to supply any food and medication. ICRC is allowed only to transfer some patients, emergency patients, from Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia, nothing else. And just imagine if there is no food, just this shop, one of the biggest shop of Nagorno-Karabakh, is fully empty. And there is nothing. The bread supply now, on these days already, is over 15% of the whole demand. There is no flour because they are shooting to our agricultural farmers. We don't have enough fuel in order to transport the flour and the wheat to Stepanakert, the capital city, and many other problems. We don't have enough vegetables. Even we have only potatoes, some meat, and some tomato. The rest don't exist.
Right.
And more than 90% of the pregnant women have malnutrition. And the miscarriages are multiplied, etc., etc.
Serge, let me just give the last word to you. I mean, clearly a blockade is easier to deal with than dealing with a conflict, but I would imagine at some point the Armenian government is going to have to take a decision. How close do you think we are to conflict here? They clearly can't let 120,000 people die, but it doesn't seem as if the Azeris are going to lift the blockade.
No one wants war, Christian. You know, they're trying to avoid further war, and you're dealing with a government in Azerbaijan that does not care. It's a dictatorship, and it just does not care about what the international community is saying. They are isolated. They don't allow free journalists to actually come into the country. The rights and security of the people of Nagorno-Karabakh are being trampled upon, and food is being used as a weaponization of starvation, which is what Luis Moreno Campo, the former ICC prosecutor, called a weapon of genocide. You know, there's complicity in a lot of countries right now. The UK, for example, is the largest investor in Azerbaijan. BP and their oil pipelines have given Azerbaijan a huge, tremendous advantage to deliver to Europe. But the United Kingdom has been, you know, they have not criticized Azerbaijan because of the business that they're doing there. And yesterday, for example, Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris, was at the Lachin corridor with 10 trucks of humanitarian aid that the Azeris wouldn't allow in. I think it's time the UK uses its influence in Azerbaijan to bring aid to these people before mass starvation and genocide occurs.
Yeah, well, it's an important issue people should read about Nagorno-Karabakh. It's good to lift the lid on what is happening at the moment. I'm very grateful for your time this evening. Serge, thank you, and thank you to you. And also thank you to Artak Beglearian, who was with us as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Christian.